Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to wherever you're at in the world. Welcome back to another episode of RareFUD Radio. I bet you I was expecting Bison hosted as always, but your boy Dory is holding it down today. However, Bison will be jumping in and out here and there whenever he's available. But man, it's a lot going on in the market today. Maybe not on Solana NFTs, but definitely over on Ordinals and BRC20. And we're going to get into all of it today. Super excited to talk about it. So I'm going to bring up my co-host, my boy, my partner in crime, Joe. How you doing today, dog?
Doing great, Dor, man. Glad to be here. Glad to talk some market action with you. Yeah, man, stoked. Nothing to complain about.
Hey, dog, I'm right there with you, man. I know you've been cooking over on BRC20, so I can't wait to get in that with you. But before we do, let me go up and bring in usually the primary host, but today the co-host, our boy Bison. How you doing, dog?
I'm tired. I got stuff going on. I'll be in and out, but dude, it's nice. I'm gonna pull a Joe and just like absolutely just we're gonna block the screen out.
Hey, buddy.
From time to time, and I'll just kick back and let Dor host the show. This is nice, dude. Now
I do. Look, I'm
the permanent host, though.
It's not, dude. This is all your gig, man. I take you here and there, but I mean, people come here for you, dog. That's why we have the crowd, man.
We're going faceless, bro. Faceless, incognito mode, bro.
So, as always, let's jump into it with a market overview. Right now, we're at 71,000 Solana volume. We're up about 10K from Tuesday, which is still pretty good. But, you know, I mean, as long as we're below that 100,000 mark, I think we're still in a lot of trouble. And I really wouldn't be too excited or expecting much things to pump on Solana right now. Magic Eden's at 31K Solana volume. They've recaptured 43% of the market share. Tensor's currently sitting at 27,000 market volume, and they're at 38% of market share. And of course, Hate Swap, that 10 to 15K range, you're sitting at 11K Solana volume. I was talking right before we hopped on stream. I'm like, yeah, one of the reasons Magic Eden has recaptured some of that market share from Tensor is due to you can't purchase Magic Eden listings on Tensor anymore. So Tensor is serving more as an aggregator by being able to purchase there from now. So I think one thing that we need to do, and I'm going to talk to my boy Shake about it, is try to get projects to push listings towards Tensor, and hopefully I can get some time on how they're going to do that. But overall, how are you feeling about the market, Bison?
Better. I actually think that, you know, there is some volume coming back. I think, you know, part of me thinks that the reason that this is happening and we're going to start seeing volume shifting back to Solana is that not just Fuddies. I mean, Fuddies are doing fine, but I think SWE in general, outside of a few projects, Fuddies, Gomies, a couple of other ones, it kind of just fell flat on its face. I almost say dead on arrival, but I definitely think that, you know, a lot more people were expecting a lot more. And because of that, they're like, well, you know, I'll just rotate back into the beast I know, right? Which is Solana NFTs and Solana in general. So I do think we're going to start seeing some liquidity rolling back. I think it might be too soon. I wouldn't call SWE dead just yet. And this is coming from somebody, I don't have any SWE bags anymore. I got out of Fuddies, you know, almost instantly when I saw that we rejected, you know, 200 and went back down. And SWE wasn't really doing anything from a token perspective. So I do think that there's some validity to this pump. We're starting to see buyers come back and everything like that. So that's good. But other than that, it's still too early to tell. I don't want to say that we're going to pump from here.
Yeah, I think it's too early to tell, man. But while one ecosystem's down, there's always activity elsewhere. And I just feel bad for a lot of the SWE network or the SWE NFTs is that they just launched at the worst time in the world, man. The meme coin season really just kept them, dog. It was just, why would you trade SWE NFTs when you can trade something that can go 10x overnight within like 8 hours? It's like, so most people attention was dealing with Pepe, King, Guac, a million other meme coins out there. And surprisingly, Bonk didn't punt, man, which was like, that was supposed to be the premier meme coin with Solana, and that had barely any movement. But Joe, what are your thoughts on the market, man? And also, I'd like to see, like, what do you think about Bonk? Do you think that has any future potential? Because like we just had a meme coin season and that rarely moved.
Yeah, good point. Yeah, market right now is it's relative, right? There's many ways to play this bear market right now. So if you are, you know, riding liquidity, getting in early, you know, BRC20 ordinals and kind of pushing ahead of the learning curve that's there. With this market though, as I'm seeing, it's very volatile, right, guys? So you might get in and be down 40%. In 3 hours and then up 180%. And right, leverage is not needed here. It's such a small market cap. These coins, most of them are $7 to $10 million market cap for BRC20s. And then the ordinals is a whole another play. So, but other than that, like I think Sol ETH, when it's quiet on those chains, like right now, I love DeFi on Sol, right? Like locking my funds up, spot bots, automated stuff, just slowly DCAing and securing the underlying asset. ETH, it's a great time, you know, to get into a few plays that just let them sit and go because it's pointless to intraday trade over there. So I think there's always times of the market, either where it's hot or cold. There's like different things you could be doing to build a nice infrastructure for yourself for the next bull swing. So that's basically what I'm trying to do: maximize liquidity on each chain, depending on relative volume and social sentiment and such.
No, I agree with you, Joe. Like, while is primarily Solana NFTs, we're profit maxis here, dog. We're going to go wherever the liquidity is. We're not just going, if Solana is down, we're not just going to sit here and not make money when we know ETH is potentially popping off, or Ordinals, or BRC, or ETH. It's like, we go to where the liquidity, when we make liquidity, we'll bring it back home. But at the same time, we're going to take advantage of these opportunities. And what you were just speaking about is a perfect example of that, Joe. I think it's important, you know, spread around to be able to capitalize on some of these other plays. Like if you see something cooking over on ETH, you should go ahead and bridge over and capitalize on that. If you see some opportunity on Bitcoin, bridge over and capitalize on that. Don't just become such a chain maxi where you lose opportunity because you have some weird cult mentality or dedication to Solana. It's fine. Use various chains, get accustomed to them. now that we're talking about ordinals, I mean, that might as well be the first thing that we jump into. We'll go into BRC20 first because our resident expert of BRC, Joe, has been on an absolute tear over there, man. After the man, he just got inspired. It is just like going crazy. Joe, what have you been up to with BRC20s, man?
Yeah, man. So with BRC20s, you started with just getting my feet wet, learning, network wallet, actually, inscribing, transferring, listing, that whole jazz. So now my whole thing is I think there's some strong plays under $15 million market cap that can be day traded if you guys are into that, and you can play the meme pool and play the fees and front run and it's a very intensive amount of work, or just dollar cost average and weaponize speculation of a possible centralized exchange listing, right, where these market caps will see a significant increase of liquidity. So there's two ways to play it right now, right? And it's obviously so high on the risk curve that it has no ceiling, but it also has no floor, right? You could lose all your money, right? But it has a very high ceiling as well with no cap because we don't really know the potential yet. So with BRC20s, it's very funny because people are, you mint for free basically, and you subscribe, list how much you want, and there's like a max, but it's normally very high. And but I think right now is people are learning how to trade, right? Learning how, all right, I'm not minting unless there's a high unique holder count already that have minted 80-90% out. And then also with like buying and listing intraday trading with the BRC20s, you have to understand how to inscribe the transfer and sell instantly, right? So you can be ahead of the learning curve here, but really the smart play, I think personally, no financial advice, is to get some exposure, make it easy on yourself, and just dollar cost averaging in a few coins that have good communities. Just like anything else, you're used to it. Nothing's changing except for the infrastructure. Good social sentiment, good communities, and a decent, unique holder count. That's what you really want with these because there's not many metrics to go off of. But yeah, dude, I don't think this is stopping. The daily users just keep getting more and more and more, and I think the easeability is going to keep getting better. The barrier to entry is going to keep getting lower, and you're going to see liquidity pile on. So there's really early, and then late, right? And I think we're not really early with this, but we are early still.
Mm-hmm. No, that was well said, Joe. I completely agree with you, man. As Bison was talking about, or the couple episodes with Manny, is that it's important to have that friction. When you have that friction in there and the lack of infrastructure and the difficulty of being able to like download and understand the marketplace, that's how you know you're early. That's how you know it's like, oh man, this is rough. So it's like that is a good sign that you're like early. But like as Joe said, I don't think we're really early. But I agree, man. These if you're sitting here fading BRC20 and Ordinals, you're out of your mind. Like we've been talking about this on RareFUD for months now, since Ordinals first dropped. Bison, myself, Joe have been like banging the alarm like, yo, there's no reason why this won't be successful. It's the oldest, most decentralized chain. Why would anybody, why would you fade this? This is not some Canto. This is not some brand new chain that's just going to come along. Yo, this is literally the first blockchain that is the most secure with the most liquidity. And you're telling me people aren't going to want to buy JPEG? Nah, dog, you can't convince me otherwise. The risk reward is there. So let's say I am wrong. Let's say this thing does go to zero. The barrier of entry of getting in now was so low that the downside, massive potential. So I think if you're sitting there fading this and it's just, you're missing out on a potentially generational wealth or a life-changing opportunity. But enough for me. Bison, have you been getting into any BRC? How's that 0509 doing, dog? You're like the second largest holder in that one, right?
Well, I ended up the 7th largest, but that was just for kicks and gigs. Mainly because if I'm going to inscribe anything, I'm going to do it with size. Just cause, like, why not? But I don't know. BRC20s are interesting to me. I think Joe's right. I think it is. BRC20s are ultimately going to become, in my opinion, if they weren't already created, I think they're going to become the ultimate stomping grounds for reputation and monetizing on it. I think a lot of these tokens, let's talk about Big God's token. I really don't think these tokens are going to do much, right? It's the premise that, hey, I want to be connected and close to this community. I want to be connected and close to this influencer or anything like that. And so you just really have to pick and choose what kind of central, entity, whether it's a person or a conglomerate of people, you're gonna put your money behind and hope that it just pumps. I mean, this is purely a game of hot potato. That is all this is, because these tokens won't have any real use case besides like the Ordis of the world, right? The very first inscription and like some other fun plays on things. But at the end of the day, this is the same thing with meme coins, right? It's just, we're monetizing social movement, and that's all it is. So I definitely agree with Joe. There's definitely mint and print feelings over there. It's just I like, how much money do I want to give towards that? It depends on your risk curve, right? I have a certain amount of BTC that I set aside for it, and if it goes to zero, I'm fine with it. It's not the end of my bankroll. If it goes to Valhalla, fantastic. I'm more interested right now in ordinals, like the JPEG side of things, than I am the BRC20 token side of things. However, I see the merit there. So I think my specialty and where my edge lies is more so on the JPEG side of things and more so in ordinals. But for me, it just feels like it's a more galvanizing thing, right? Having a JPEG behind it, like, again, just using my experience from 17, 18 versus now, this bear market has felt a lot more bearable. And it's just like the feeling and effect of a JPEG. And it's that simple. And the community rally behind it and being able to rep it on Twitter or whatever, versus just a line of code. That's all BRC20 is. It's just a line of code, right? So I don't know.
Agreed. And I agree real quick, Dor, because I wanted to carry off.
No, you good, dog. You good?
I agree wholeheartedly. I think where that galvanizing effect will be is with the PFP ordinals, right? And then with the BRC20s, you're just going to have the profit maxis, the whales of the world. Once Binance or say whatever come in with actual order books, that's when you'll see the actual explosion, because there is no use case for these tokens other than social sentiment and like the weaponized speculation of price goes up. And then like B said, you have historical Satoshis, a historical inscription with Ordi, stuff like that will hold value. But it's all about people coming in because they're like, dude, this is so new, so early, such a low market cap. But that's directly correlated with the ordinal side as well. Both of those are the same. They're so small and so tiny still at this moment, where the upside, like Dorian said, is just there is no upside, right? We don't know what's possible yet on these, and that's what makes it fun. Yeah, if we lose our money, we lose our money, but what else can you go in life and going, you know what? There really is no upside that I can see to this. I know the downside zero. It's right there. What's the upside? And that's what's so exciting about this, I think, is because we really don't know. We don't have a ceiling yet.
Yeah. I would agree. And in the sense that it's like you said, it's the friction. The friction's nice, dude, because it's so hard to find, liquidity and everything like that. And people are almost using a marketplace to just find blocks of these BRC20s. And I think that's what's so fun about it right now, is that
it feels like early NFTs, dog.
It's a line of code.
And look at ERC20s. Look at ETH's market cap. Look at ERC20s. Half of those have no utility. They don't do anything for anybody. They don't even have products that work per se, right? Like none of them do, right? But they have correlated with Ethereum's market cap. If you speculate with ordinals and BRC20s, why wouldn't you directly correlate with something that's happened cyclical before? And you go, okay, what if these marry with a correlation of BTC's market cap, right? It might not be the ones you see right now, but it could be ones that come out with use case parentheses, right? And so there is a case to be made here where we're looking at a possible 30 to 100x on some of these tokens, where that doesn't take much to go 10 million to $500 million market cap when it's actually listed on in decent exchanges. That doesn't take much. So yeah, the friction's there for the learn curve, but just to buy these things and sit in your wallet, it's not that hard, guys. It really isn't. Once you understand how to send BTC here and what network to use, set it and forget it for a lot of people that aren't good at trading. That's exposure too.
Yep. That was well said, Joe. Like, of course, I always say that, but I always say this was well said because you guys are on fire all the time. But no, I completely agree with that, man. For me, I view most ordinals out there as mint and print. Most are going to zero. You get in, you make your bag real quick and get out of there. You don't want to be holding on to most of this stuff. I'm not a trader like Joe. Like, I'll be the first to tell you, I am terrible at short-term trading. So it's awesome to have Joe on here who is engaged in all of the BRC action that's going on with all these other coins that I don't know about. I personally picked up a bag of Ordi because if anything survives, I think Ordi's going to be around for a good minute. It's the first BRC20. The founder of it is a solid dude. So as Bison was saying, it's kind of that you're betting on the reputation of these individuals to help provide some type of longevity to these coins. And I think that we're so early on, some of the innovations have yet to happen where we'll really see these things begin to take off. I think one thing that we'll begin to see within Ordinal side is, because right now Bison was saying, oh, these BRC20 tokens are kind of like NFT communities, but without pictures. But I could see these communities then either airdropping or allowing holders of a certain amount of these tokens an NFT into their collection or whatever they may do in the future. So it's going to be this kind of like circular pump going on. Oh, you need these tokens to have access to this NFT, or you need this NFT to have access to these tokens. We see some of this kind of going early on, specifically with BitGod. BitGod airdropped some of the tokens for OXBT is his ticker symbol. That's coming out next week, I think. Public's going to be on Monday, but whitelist will be happening throughout the weekend. We see that where he airdropped a lot of those to existing Ordinals communities, Bitcoin Bandits, OMBs. I think the Frogs got some as well. But beyond that, even in OMB, for those who don't know, if you're tuning in for the first time, I am an Ordinal Maxi business holder. ZK mentioned the possibility of coming out with a BRC20 token. But Joe also mentioned that we're so early on, these things don't even have a central exchange listed, man. The friction is there where, for some who are newer in the space, it's difficult to have to download a wallet, figure out where do I need to send SOL back to a central exchange, swap that into BTC, send that BTC to your Unisat wallet. Make sure you're sending it to the right address, because if you don't, that stuff is gone. So while it might not be difficult for individuals who've been in this space for a long time, it is difficult for newer people, or people who are just used to trading on a central exchange might be like, I'm not going through all that. I'm going to wait for it to hit. And when it does hit, man, that influx of liquidity is going to establish a new, I guess, higher low for whatever coin you're into. So just getting into things early, certain things such as Ordi, just buying some to have exposure and just holding on for a bit, I think is one of the best plays you can do. While we're on the subject of, seeing we just talked about BRC, let's transition over into Ordinals now. Guys, what have you been getting into over on Ordinals? Joe, you've been going ham, dog. I ain't gonna lie, man. Your boys like been focused on one to two things, but Joe's been like, I'm in this. I got.
You know what it is? You know what's funny, Dor? It's funny. This is why, bro. It's one, I've got so much time back in my life, and this is gonna sound like a show, but it's truth. Since I got Cyber Frogs and loaded Yakuza and the police contract, I used to day trade for 6 to 8 hours out of the day. You guys know how that is, leverage trading, 0.5 to 1% moves, right? Back and forth. I've gained so much time now where I'm like normally would be looking for setups and all that. Like I have all this new time. So really it's just like I have a block of time that I'm normally doing something very intensive. So I just filled it with another thing. So I've been getting lucky with some entries and stuff. But to be honest with you, on the Ordinal side, I'm excited for what's to come. I think there's been some good liquidity from the Bitcoin Miami. We've seen a lot of floors run, and the top 10 projects with, like 5 to 10 to 30 BTC volume a day. So we've seen pretty good, but I'm excited for projects to start going, you know what? There's a value prop to build a community over here in BTC, and real teams starting to build and bring some innovative stuff to the chain. So that's what I'm excited about. So how does that happen? How do you set yourself up for success? You find projects that will be given whitelist allocations, airdrops, free sales, just like we're used to, right? So that's how you want to start to build your infrastructure and look ahead of the game, right? Because there's a lot to be made in intraday scalping, but there's also a lot more to be made in long-term macro mindset in an early market.
Yeah, Joe, 100% agree, man. And once again, that leads back into like my trading style, the sense of, I'm always looking for the macro play. It's like, what's coming? It's right now we're in that early chain season where most things can mint and then it'll make money. But that stage is going to die off. And a lot of these things, existing Ordinal communities are going to go to zero. So it's important to get into those communities that are established and that you do think are going to have some long-term potential, because those are the ones who are going to be getting all the whitelist allocation. Those communities are going to be the ones who are getting all the BRC20 tokens airdropped, and having those will pay for itself. Once again, I don't think I can talk about Ordinals without talking about Ordinal Maxi business. I am a holder of that, and I do want to. One of the people in the comment in the chat had a question about what is the benefit of being an OMB and like what is the project. It's just a community-based project right now, man. It's like we're still so early on in Ordinals. Is like you're not having some crazy tech and utility, but just because it's a community project doesn't mean that it doesn't have value in it. There's some pretty top tier people in the community. We have men over from ETH. I think this dude managed to pick up like a fat bag of Bazookies early on. Saw him at the Klano party. We have some pretty big gods in there. We have some other thought leaders within the Ordinal space. Leonidas, sorry dog, if you're watching this, I messed up your name, but I could drop your link later. He's there. So pretty much any notable individual over in Ordinals has a OMB right now. And also anytime, like we're getting whitelist out the Hooyah, we're getting BRC20 airdrops from upcoming projects, specifically big gods. So that type of value pays itself back in and of itself. So I'm just riding those out because I still think that we're early on. And with ZK being one of the thought leaders in the Ordinal space and really pushing the development of the space, value is just going to continually flow back to him and the holders of the project. But Bison, what have Ordinals have you been looking at, man?
I got a Doge Punk because they're fun, and the volume's there, and it's fun. I don't know. I like the Doge Punks, but that's not financial advice. I just think it's fun. I do think that these punk derivatives don't typically they might have their pump, but they don't typically do well over the long haul. So I'll ride the volume for right now. We'll see what happens with it, but at the same time, it's a different take on punks. It mixes with Doge. That's always fun. So I can see some more longevity there than normal punk derivatives, but I don't plan on staying in it longer. I do love the call out that Joe had with Virus. I think Virus is sick. I think those do really well. And they're a really nice price point. Right now, I'm trying to find good price points. I wish I got a Bitcoin Frog because those things pumped, and those look good too. They're fun. I'm all about fun pixel art and everything like that, but Virus looks good. There's another one. I think if you are trying to go for like an OMB, but you can't afford one, I think Bandits is probably the next best thing.
Yep. I would say agree.
I would say you want.
What are they at right now?
They're at 0.165 or something like that.
God damn.
Oh wow. Yeah. Like 4 or 5K.
Yeah, it's 0.175 because one's being transmitted or broadcasted right now. So it's
Bia, let me ask you a question because you're good at this type of stuff and theorizing. Like, what do you after every main event, Solana, ETH, like normally we see anything like with that tying to the underlying asset just drops in price. Do you think we're seeing influx to where we could get a drawdown and maybe have some better entries? Or do you think this is like, all right, we're early, this is the low, it's only going to go up from here? Daily users, activity, blah, blah, blah.
I see, my mindset is that it's so early to this stuff that what's the drawdown going to be? Like how much drawdown could there be? You might see a little bit of a dip, but I don't think it's going to be that much between BR. It's just such an infant, nascent industry right now that I doubt it. Honestly, I feel like this is where you're going to really cement. What I plan on seeing is a lot of FUD on the timeline between the maximalist and the Ordinal movement. Because we're going to see that. Like Bitcoin maxis hate this stuff, dude. Hate this stuff. It is so funny to watch on the timeline because look, as a Solana person, we've seen our fair share of drama, and it's been nice to kick back and watch other people fight about stuff that I'm just like, I don't care. I'm on the Ordinal side of things. I think it's a fun new technology that we can explore. A way of inscribing stuff on the blockchain,
and it incentivizes miners and people to run more validators and strengthen the network. Right? There's two schools of thoughts with this. It's the first thought that BTC stays as a hedge. It stays as that only. Right? It's a store of value. It's dumb. It should stay dumb. And then they're trying to make it smart. Right? And that's what the maximalists don't like. The second party is profitability. Right? The people that are doing it because they love the network, but they also want to provide for their families, make money, and regardless be a capitalist, you know? And so they see it as with the halving incoming and Bitcoin miners be making less and less, they're looking at it as a profitability factor for them, as well as strengthening the network by incentivizing people to, you know, validate more and more. So I agree with you. I think, you know, we and you, Dora, we're on the side, the second side, phase B, right? Of like, we get it. We have to adapt. It's still going to be a hedge. It's still going to be the liquidity king. But I do think it has some real possibility here.
But I also think that it helps with the medium of exchange narrative too, because, you know, like if you look at what people define as currency, right? It's store value, medium of exchange, and units of accountancy. And we got the units part down, right? I mean, like you can fractionalize a Bitcoin. I think a lot of people don't realize that, like, you know, they're like, oh, there's only 21 million. How are we going to grow the economy or anything? That's, you know, Austrian economics versus Keynesian. But, you know, if you look at how the medium of exchange is tough, right? I mean, it takes 30 minutes to send your money sometimes, and like that's kind of annoying. I think this
Yeah,
incentivizes
to say the
miners.
least.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's different coming over from Solana, right? And I think there's a couple of things that help out with it. One, you know, we talked about it last episode where this wormhole of Bitcoin to Solana, you can have BTC over there as well. This could become a really good way of basically making a layer 2 on Bitcoin and making it more of a medium of exchange. And then Ordinals too. It just incentivizes a lot more miners because it's a lot more profitable. A lot more people are making transactions now, and therefore there's a lot to solve. There's a lot more need for miners, and so the miners that are here are raking in some cash right now when they were downtrodden from the bull market, right? I mean, like it wasn't nearly as profitable. Now it is. And, you know, I do think Bitcoin continues to see a rise here, and this is going to be good. You know, if anything, Joe, going back to your original question with the conference, the only thing I can see really going down is maybe the Bitcoin price itself. We have a lot of sell-offs from, you know, federally seized assets on the Bitcoin side of things, but other than that, I don't really see Ordinals or BRC20s taking that much of a hit just because it's so nascent. So yeah, final answer.
I agree with you on that one, Doug. So I feel like we're beating this topic to death right now. But before we move on, I got one last question for both of you on this topic. What are 2 things that you guys look out for before you buy BRC20 or an Ordinal?
Yeah, I'll go. I mean, as far as what I like to see right now, because it's so infantile, I want to, you know, I put my chips with either communities or leaders that I think are going to make the most of it. And so, you know, OMB is like the clear and obvious. ZK is just so incredibly smart with this stuff. He's the forefront of innovation. Talked about him. BitGod has just rose to power, and I think he's going to be somebody you really want to follow in the BRC20 token movement. And then Leonidas kind of has his hands over everything. You have Brad BTC as well. You have Redacted BTC. There's a lot of different, it's a fun, like I get this excited because we finally get to see a different side of things. Like I haven't got to explore another network in a while, and it's not like I'm unfamiliar with Bitcoin, but seeing the new BTC like influencers and everything like that are completely different than when I originally started in 2017. So it's fun. I think it is fun. You want to find the people that are just like, you know, gung-ho, this is what we can do with Ordinals. OMB, Bitcoin Bandits has a really good community if you can afford that. If you want some lower entry points, I do think Doge Punks can be fun as your first foray. Just follow the volume with some of those lower ones. Like Virus has some really good volume too. I think those look really cool as well. And then what's the birds one that you're in, Joe?
Yeah, they're just a low supply Ord birds. I don't know anything about them. Like this is all I'm trading is unique holders, volume, and Twitter sentiment. That's it. It's like old school days, man. For real. They're like, you know, like hinting at an airdrop. Like, yeah, okay, gotcha. So into that. Like, you know, it's stupid, man. It really is. But that's the only thing, right? It's like, it's cool because Ordinals was made in our lifetime. The firmwares connect, and we see it being built, and we're using it. But at the end of the day, it's the same exact thing, right? Like we want whitelist, we want pre-sales, we want to flip volume. It's literally like taking a step back. And that's why I just think like BRC20, same thing. They're just like ERCs, right? Like when Uniswaps first started and had you first getting a DEX order book. And it's like we're doing the same thing, except it's in the one asset that everyone rolls back into for safety. So that's the only thing that really truly makes it different, right? Gives it that value prop of like, I can see people not trading on Ethereum because of gas and just doing what they love to do just on BTC. Yeah, look how far it's come already. In another year, it'll be just like you're trading on anything else, right? Seamless. So I can see there is a value prop for it to happen, and that's why I'm in it, because I'm like, okay, it's all the same at the end of the day. So what is that outlier? And it's like, because it's in BTC.
Yeah. So for me, it's once again, I kind of take some of my thinking from Sol about what I trade and invest in over there and just apply it to Ordinals. As Joe was saying, it's like it's a lot of the same thing in the sense of what do people want? Like what makes a good project? And for me, it's just like who's leading the project and the community behind it. Those are the two factors that I look in anytime before I buy anything. Is the leader reputable and is the project or the community solid? It took me, I was looking at Bitcoin Bandits for a while before I got into OMB because I was like, man, I heard a lot about them, but it just didn't have that thing. And I'm not too sure who the founder of Bitcoin Bandits. Obviously, they're doing great over there, but it wasn't just that thing that I was looking for. Chartfu, yeah, he's solid. I mean, he's in the OMB as well. He's also launched several other projects, I think, too. So, and I know he works at Magic Eden. But in terms of, that's why it's like what drew me to OMB was just ZK and that DGOD connection, man. Once again, never fade the DGOD connection, dog. That thing is strong. But looking at Nakamoto, well, I did want to bring up before we moved into Solana NFTs, Nakamoto Wells. Like regarding those, I just can't like. It's interesting that there's high sales for them, but I don't see a bull case for them long term. What do you guys think about Nakamoto Wells?
Can you hear me, Dor?
Yeah, dude. I thought I froze there for a second. I was like,
I think we all froze.
Oh, okay. Oh,
so
man,
yeah,
I'm glad we're back.
Nakamoto Whales. Yeah, I just really like them as art, as a PFP. I just like the pixelated color. Like I just like the orange. I do like the whales a lot. They have Catalina whales. Whether you like them or not, they are fortified in this space. They've proven themselves, and they've created a Web2 pipeline to their Web3 NFT collection, which is hasn't really been done before. Like they legit. Mm-hmm. So it is their BTC Ordinal collection. I can see it doing well as they continue to do well. If they do, if they continue to do well, I can see it do well. For sure. I think it's trusted. It's been traded since the very beginning. It's probably a lower inscription count. If I got to be honest, I haven't checked, but I can see it doing well for sure. It's at a decent price point right now, and I think enough people PFP it to actually give it some space too.
So like, and I guess it goes back to what we were discussing on the last episode. Is just like, would I rather spend? I think I see sales going for like 0.1 Bitcoin, and I think there's lower entries. But it's like, would I rather get into, if especially let's assume it's 1 Bitcoin, would I rather get into a project that's ported from Solana over getting in DGODs? If that's the case, if I wanted to get into a Solana or originated project, then why wouldn't I go with DGODs? Or if I do have that much liquidity, trying to get into something unique on Ordinals that I think sets itself apart. I think for me personally, and once again, if you're a bag holder of the project, I'm not knocking you or your decisions, and Joe has a different opinion than me, but I think there's higher risk because what's the floor of Catalina Wells right now? Like 20 something?
That's a good question. 20, probably 24, probably right around that range.
Yeah. So like for me, I'm picking up a inscription for a mid-tier Solana project that's just ported over. They're at 17.5. So it's just like, do I want to have that type of risk? I don't know. It's like, so once again, I'm not knocking individuals for their decision. I just think there's a lot more downside than potential upside than for me to pick up a Nakamoto well Vice, maybe a D God, or something else in the ecosystem.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I agree with that as well. Yeah, there's definitely two sides to each coin, and that makes complete sense as well, right? Absolutely. And it's up to everyone's relative like bankroll and profit. You know what I'm saying? If you have a bunch of cash and you just want to kind of disperse it, that's one thing. If you want to maximize your liquidity, like Door's saying, and like, all right, well, I know for a fact D gods are proven, price appreciation, and that networking prowess that you gain from that, almost like S&B too. So yeah, dude, 100%. You can see either side of the coin, and that's why it's so fun right now. Is because there is so many different value propositions to be had. It's not just like it's one deal. Like, there's so many ways to play it. So definitely.
Yeah, dude. And speaking of Nakamoto wells, that kind of brings us back over into Solana with a couple things I want to talk about over there. First of all, I want to talk about ABC because we've recently seen a pump from them. I think they're sitting at like what 31 SOL right now, man. Down from the bottom of, I think,
I know.
19 to 20.
I saw that. Tons of volume came in.
Yeah.
That's
they hit a 18.
Yeah, I know. It was if you looked at the macro chart, it really was a double bottom. Like, they bought from where like the first ever all-time low was after that little first run up. So, I mean, with HGE, that liquidity and capital, especially in Solana, is unmatched. So it doesn't take much for him to, put a 40K SOL in and scoop some things up and get, AMMs running again, get some volume going. I didn't really check or do my sleuthing to see if they were like organic wallets or like if they were funded from an exchange fresh or like who was buying actually. But I imagine some retail got caught up in the mix of it, just because, you can't stay away from volume like that. So it's very interesting, man. That who knows, man. With that, I'm not touching that with a 10-foot pole though.
Nah, dog, you couldn't pay me to touch that stuff, dog. It's hard for me to see the bull case of ABC, man. Like, they came out like the drama they were involved in with Monkey DAO, and then them having a NFT backed stablecoin. I'm sorry, that is a terrible idea, dog. Like, you're taking the most volatile asset and you're like, oh yeah, we're going to back a stable coin with the most volatile asset on the market. Like, no, dog, that's not a good move. And then after that, they're like, oh, we're going to bridge ABC to Ordinals. Like, that's not bullish to me.
Yeah, not at all. I know for holders, it probably is for them. Just gives them another value prop to hold and go from there. But yeah, I think if you're going to play with Solana NFTs right now, there's plenty other plays right now that will give you more for just holding, along the side of just price go up.
Yo, and another perfect segue of long NFTs that you should be holding. Doug, I cannot speak enough about the heist, dude. If you are not if you don't have a bag of heist, you're doing yourself an injustice. And it's so interesting. You see people fading this game constantly. And it's like, dog, not even much has been released, but I'm here making like $1,000 every 2 weeks, dog. Like, what are you talking about? Even when Nana was down, dude, I was like, I'm not selling down here. It's like, yeah, it had some rough times, but guess what? Sinks are coming, dude. It's just a matter of time. Like, all the tokenomics behind the game, the team behind the game, just makes this a clear no-brainer to me. I scooped up 8 more chimps last night, because I'm trying to double my output. Like, it's interesting right now, and especially with Solana NFTs where things are not moving that much, and you need to do something passively. I don't know why you would do anything other than the heist, man. It just, to me, it's a no-brainer.
Yeah, it definitely is. It's just like if you sign into Clash of Clans or anything else and you just do it because it's a dopamine rush and it's something to look forward to. But like at the end of the day, it's really the cleanest that's ever been delivered on Solana from an idle staking concept. And they're not even, 30% into what they want to really truly curate here. And you look down the line at a mobile app and things like that, and the real being able to onboard people for free almost, and then allow them to kind of upgrade from there, right? You never think about that. Right now people are calling it Ponzi per se or whatever you want, and really, if you want to go down to it, life, USD, freaking mortgages, credit card, everything's a Ponzi, right? Capitalism.
Yeah, everything, dog. Everything.
And it's ethos, right? And it's ethos, it is. So regardless off of that, I'm just saying there's many ways people are thinking about yes, this is just an NFT Solana blockchain game right now, although it's doing, highest volume amongst all chains right now, top 15. But you can see how they would bring in and onboard new people, right? Through a almost free way to say, hey, check this game out. It's fun. You can still have a lot of fun, even if you're not earning anything, right? But here's the way to upgrade from here. So like there's so many ways to make the heist greater than it is already. So that's like, yeah, you can bet on, short term making gains right now, flipping, selling for arbitrages in the town market, grabbing, points here, adding points here. There's so many ways to play it intraday, intra-weekly. But if you want to look on a macro mindset and really look at this as Longwood Labs actually product and what they're building and trying to prove, right? Then you start to click like, oh wait, this might be something. So I think you have two sides of the coin with the heist that makes it so much fun to either invest in or trade.
Dude, I completely agree with you, man. And B, before our resident heist expert / team member jumps into it, I do have one more thing to say. What's interesting about the heist is that obviously everybody has different financial circumstances, but it showed the heist was as fair launch as possible. Yes, some communities got bigger allocations than others, but what you saw was that wells in the Solana ecosystem continue to accumulate heists even post-exploit. Right now, if you go on inside the heist game and you look at all the listings, a lot of the chimps that are listed are the ones with no upgrades to their stats, no upgrades to or no type of items or anything. So I think I took away from that, the individuals who are investing money into their chimps are actually playing the game. People who accumulated at that 7 range are actually playing the game. The ones that are listed right now are people trying to either rotate liquidity, don't have that many monkeys where they're not feeling substantial profit from what's going on in the game. But right now, all the whales that I know, they're not selling. They're just continuing to stack Nana. Nothing has changed from since the game launched, since the exploit happened to now. Everybody's just stacking Nana and continuing to play games. And I just feel bad for individuals who got shaken out of their positions by some random person on the timeline off of nothing. Like there was this one individual, I forgot his name, but they're like, Heist is very similar to Nana. Heist is very similar to Steppen. I'm like, Doug, first of all, that was an engagement farming tweet, and congrats for you for baiting me into engaging with that. But it's just like that lack of fundamental understanding shows why your complete analysis of this game is wrong, and people who follow and trust that individual are getting screwed over. But go ahead, Bison. What are your thoughts on the heist and everything that Joe and I've been talking about?
Bro, I caught like the last 2 minutes of it, so I'll try to fill in the blanks. But yeah, look, heist is it's the alpha version of the game right now. You are seeing heist v0, and we're just adding in implementations. That's all season 1 is awareness. You are seeing something that we were able to build with a pre-sale allocation, that we gave out and we got money for. We used that money to build this game. And then from there, we're using the funds to continue to iterate this game and make it profitable for people. I don't even want to say profitable, because I got to be careful with that word now, because you can't think of it that way. Like you said, I've been seeing it a lot on the timeline where this is a Ponzi. That word gets thrown around like Web3 does in this space, and nobody can define it. If I ask you, hey, can you define what a Ponzi is? Nobody can. Here's what a Ponzi is. If you guys want like the clear cut, it originated from Charles Ponzi back in the 20s, was promising this exorbitant return off of, he found some arbitrage with like postal stamps or something like that. It was something stupid, but was like, I can trade these. I found some arbitrage. I could do high volume for this. I can trade these and make you an exorbitant return. And all I need is for you to give me this money up front. And so if you are early into this, right, you were one of the original holders. Now, he didn't actually trade this stuff, right? He didn't actually do anything with stamps. What he did was then take on more people who gave him cash up front, use that cash that he got, and gave it back to the original people, right? Pyramid scheme type style, promising an exorbitant return, not doing what he actually promised he was going to do. Bernie Madoff is one of the most recent, obvious examples of this, but that's not what heist is. We have never said we're a play to earn game. Play to earn is flawed in its core. You do not. It's just like step in, right? Move to earn is just, it's silly to me. In the sense that you have to return some portion of the funds that you generated. So there, unless you can make it a profitable business and you're giving some money back, I guess it works in that sense. And Stepin is interesting from that point, but it was just a completely inflationary token. That's why they had to move to GMT, is because GST is an absolute shitcoin. I mean, it's terrible tokenomics, and anybody who reads the paper can see it from that point. You see it a lot with other games. You know, DeFi Kingdoms is another big one, right? Promised an absurd return on some of the gardens and stuff like that, right? It was never going to be sustainable. That token price was never going to be sustainable. We aren't promising anything. There's a set amount of Nana. Nana is going to be used in game. We're going to expand the collection. We said this from the beginning. And if you win the raffles, great. You can give some raffle tickets to your friends. There's no guarantee you're going to get a mint with raffles or recruitment. Cosmetics, you're not even going to guaranteed to get any of those. Like I put in 50 tickets for this Flaming Halo, didn't get any. I saw Door got 4 or 3 or whatever.
Oh, dude, I put 200 tickets in that bad boy. That's why.
We'll talk about trading once trading comes out. But look, the broke mindset is that play to earn, like this is a play to earn game, or that play to earn games are sustainable in any sense. That is such a broke mindset because it just won't work. It's not feasible unless you're doing some sort of rev share, in which case you're opening yourself up to legal obligations, but or ramifications. Play to own is the woke mindset, right? You are owning your asset, and whatever you do with them, if you decide to dump it on the floor, I can't tell you what to do. I'm giving you ownership of your asset. So whether it's cosmetics, whether it is Nana, the token itself, whether it's NFTs you win from recruitment, I don't care. That's the beauty of it, is you get to own it. You can transfer it to another person. You can sell off pieces of it. You can sell off one NFT versus your whole account, like some of the other, Web 2 games and everything like that. And even that is against terms of service, So this is the beauty of Web3 gaming. You own your assets. That is all we ever promised, is you were going to own your assets and you're going to play an idle game. That's all it is. So a lot of people throw Ponzi around. You don't know the meaning of Ponzi. If you tell me what the meaning of Ponzi is, I will show you. There's a litmus test for it. We don't pass that. So that's my rant for that. You say it's a Ponzi. Yeah. I'm telling you, you don't know the definition of a Ponzi. Nobody ever promised it to play to earn.
Nobody, and first of all, as you said, people throw the definition of Ponzi around everything's a Ponzi, dog. Everything. The housing market's a Ponzi. It's like people are like, oh, you should buy while the market's hot. Why? Because you want to dump your $1 million house on me when I'm trying to buy on a dip. Nah, dog, I'm good. So it's like, don't throw around Ponzi. Second of all, I love the diplomatic answer from Bison. You know what, guys? The heist is the #1 passive income game out there, dog. Hands down, man. No, I'm just joking. That financial advice.
The other thing is, too, you're not guaranteed. Like, the problem with a lot of these games that we saw was that you were guaranteed a token for doing an action. Remnants was the same way. Like, Remnants was flawed from its beginning because you went on these loot trips and you were guaranteed a range and you got to multiply it by using that money. And so from there, it was kind of a Ponzi, dude. It was kind of a Ponzi. With Heist, you're not guaranteed anything. You can fumble, you can get confiscated, you can get arrested. Even gorillas
you get wrecked, dog.
Yeah, exactly. Gorillas would probably be the closest thing to it, but even then, if nobody's at that location or nobody's if everybody's on a hot streak, which would happen sometimes, you're not earning any Nana as a Rilla. So there's no guaranteed return or anything like that. Nana is used in the game, and if you want to sell it, we're telling you to go for it. I mean, it's all up to you. You have the choice. It's the beauty of Web3 gaming. I'm excited for it. I'm excited for Moonfrost too. If we're gonna talk about Web3 gaming, I'm so excited for Moonfrost.
I would love, Moonfrost looks so much fun, man. I just really hope they're able to execute. We need to hit up them, try to get them on the show, try to get whitelist or something, dude, because it looks so fun, man.
Yeah, please. If you guys are watching or listening, please, if you have somebody connected to Moonfrost, I would just love to pick their brains because I think it's fascinating. I
reached out on Twitter twice.
I'll make it a third time.
I'll make it a fourth.
Yeah, I mean, it's just out of curiosity because I think it's such a cool concept. I love the free to play. Not every game's going to scale that way, and I see a lot of people talk about that on the internet as well. Look, Web3 gaming is literally part of my job now. I think about this shit all the time. There's many ways you can scale Web3 gaming. Some of it's going to take bits and pieces from Web 2. but not all of it, right? How we scale this is going to be completely different than what we had before. And it's because there is like most of the time there's people putting financial prices on assets. Whether you put the liquidity pool up or not, like we saw it in REMs, you could go on Famous Fox and exchange the token for a price. And that was completely peer-to-peer. We had no influence on that. And all we did with our liquidity pool is just make an initial liquidity offering. And then from there, the market just did its own thing. Like we didn't do anything else. So when you have this free market, the fact that you're calling, like the fact that people still are against this, it blows my mind. Like I paid thousands and thousands of dollars to play World of Warcraft, to play some gacha games on my phone. I mean, like
Hearthstone, dog,
Hearthstone
I'm like
too.
I mean, grand deep into Hearthstone, easy, dog.
And so if I stop playing tomorrow, if I stop playing tomorrow, and I'm like, man, I just sank like, I look back at I sank like $5,000 over the lifetime into this game. What do you have to show for it? Nothing. You have nothing to show for it. If you try to sell your account, that account could get banned. So then you have the risk of that account getting banned. That's the cool thing about Web3. So anybody who's against that premise, like I'm sorry, I just can't see that viewpoint. Like I don't get it. That doesn't make any sense to me. And Web2 game studios are going to be the probably some of the last people to enter the space. I do see like MapleStory. I would be very excited for MapleStory to come into the Web3 space. And it does sound like they're forward thinking, but for Web2 people, it's like, why would I go into Web3 when I'm the central authority here? I get to issue my own, V tokens or V-Bucks or whatever they are for Fortnite. I get to issue as many skins as I want to. I don't get the community outraged by it. I get to bring back old skins if I run out of ideas. Like I get to do whatever I want. Why would I go to Web3 where the market has much more of a say in all of this? It just doesn't make sense for them. They're making money hand over fist. Now for us and indie game studios and those on the cusp of being, a AAA studio, I think that's where it, like the next wave of brands lies. It's just like with Frank, right? Like Louis Vuitton wasn't going to come in here and make like this luxury brand from the get-go. It doesn't make any sense to them, but somebody like a Frank who comes in and makes a luxury brand with D-Gods or Basie or anybody like that, the Azukis of the world and Pudgy Penguins, those are the people that's what's going to be the next wave of brands. And it's just with games. It's just with games.
Yep. Completely agree, dog. Man, we're getting close to the end, but as always, before we get out of here, I want to jump into some alpha before we leave. So, Joe, what alpha do you got for us, dog? That can be obviously on any ecosystem. What you looking at, man?
Yeah, so let's see. Stole, Heist and Cyber Frogs are my bags, really main ones. I do like their spot bot. This is the truth. You can use it without having a Cyber Frog, but it's just nice for me. Like I'll tell you what, like I put, like $2,000 in there, and right now it has an average buy-in of Solana at $20.72. It's slowly dripping in my funds for me, just like I would do on a daily, but I don't have to worry about it, right? And because I want to acquire more Solana, like I trust in it. I really do think it's a no-brainer. So that's like one of my biggest plays right now, to be honest, on Solana, is just slowly DCAing, because you can add in positions whenever you want. So I just slowly DCA into that spot bot, and it just slowly acquires Solana at, undervalued prices through its algorithm. So that's probably my biggest play right now is that contract for Cyberfrogs, the police contract, lowest risk spot bot.
Yeah, Joe, as somebody who trades as much as you, I'm sure that does save you a lot of time. It sounds like an awesome tool. I don't think for me, I know how to use it well enough, so I haven't even touched it yet, but I should give it a try, though.
Yeah, it's like if you've ever loaded a validator and you're going to get 7% on the year, this, performed last month 6%. So that's like, already. So, and that's just spot buying, no leverage, no real risk, because you just hang on. You know what I'm saying? If you trust in the asset. So to me, like before, I would, spot and swing trade, but this is basically a swing trade for me. Is DCing into a long-term swing trade. So it appeases my mindset of a trader, and I can kind of take a step away from it.
Yeah, I feel you, man. Bison, what do you got for us, Doug?
Yeah, I'm big on Cyber Frogs right now. I'm kind of waiting for them to cool down a little bit from their like massive run up. So I'm not gonna like FOMO in, but this is a clear value opportunity right here, especially if you are somebody. I mean, even Joe, like he's saying, he was like, high frequency trader, and this is saving him so much time a day. Do you know how much time, like your time is invaluable? So if you can stay away and still make money, or hit at a high rate, at least on most days, like Cyber Frogs just makes so much sense. So yeah, at the very least, I want to pick up one. If they come back down to like low tens or something like that, then I would be interested in coming to grab like 9 of them, like Joe, and become a mini whale. But other than that, as far as the Soul side, I'm really interested in Mad Lads. If they go below 50, that's when I start DCAing in. I have funds for about 3 or 4 of them.
Same.
And I'm just kind of waiting if that happens. If it doesn't, I'm not upset. I still have one, and it's cost covered. So if that happens, great. If not, then I'm not going to FOMO in. I have no desire to have that much risk on my books, but I think the hype is real with Mad Lads. I think the hype is real with Backpack. I'm so excited to see what else they build out, and I only have one. I would like more if I can get them, but outside of that, I mean, Heist, I already have my bags, dude. I always want to buy more, and I've just taken a step back and be like, look, the only thing I'm gonna spend is Nano on recruitment. I have my bag and I'm happy with them, but I always feel the temptation to buy more. The other things I would be looking at, BTC, obviously, the Ordinals, BRC20. Look, just familiarize yourself with it. I just think it is such an interesting time. I'm not gonna give alpha because I'm still so new to the space. So if I don't feel like I'm an expert and have an edge, I'm not going to give you like strict advice. None of this is financial advice anyways. We're just bozos trading JPEGs and now lines of code on the internet. But yeah, I'm not an expert, so I don't want to give too much alpha there because I don't feel like I have an edge right now. I'm just exploring, and it's a fun space to explore. And I would tell everybody, look, if you have $1,000 that you're willing to lose, like if it went to 0, you're fine with it. Go explore BRC20 and Ordinals. I don't think they're going away anytime soon. I don't think it's just a fad. I think it only goes up from here. And, you may pick the wrong project, but at least you'll have some knowledge or meet some people that are more well-versed in that space. Other than that, Pulse Chain. We didn't talk about Pulse Chain too much. I know, Dor, I mentioned it earlier. This is, okay. The only reason I'm talking about Pulse Chain is because it's a Richard Hart led project. I don't even know what it is. Like, I'm just now getting into it. Take some time to learn Pulse Chain. This dude just knows how to print absolute banana returns. So he did it with Hex, Bitcoin Hex or whatever it was. Dude, that thing literally ran up like 100 million X, dude. It was insane. So the Pulse is apparently the new hotness from him. I'm going to learn it. I think this is an in and out sort of type play. I don't think there's a whole lot of longevity to it. If you look at any of the other coins he's launched or projects he's launched, they go up violently. And then after that, you are either stuck holding the bag or you got out in massive profit. So that's my high risk play. That is not financial advice. Do your own research, do diligent research, and use very little capital because that's a scary one.
Yeah, dude, I haven't heard of this guy. I'm going to look more into Pulse Chain because I'm all about trying to make some multiples real quick and get out. So is this the new next NFT rotation, dog? Pulse Chain NFT?
Bro, I don't know. Pulse Chain is such a, dude. I mean, hexagons is what they were called. I mean, like I don't even know what's going on over there. It's to increase Ethereum's value. I guess like an L2 doing some sharding and stuff like that. I just know
they got the buzzwords in there and the right person behind it.
Yeah, Richard knows, like if you've been around for a while, Richard Hart knows how to pump stuff. I remember seeing him on so many live streams back in 17-18 with this dang candelabra in the background, and like he's a weird dude, but he's got a cult following, dude. And I will never fade those guys. Ever fade those guys.
Where can you pick up Pulse Chain? Is it just you pick it up on Uniswap or is it listed on a SEX?
I don't know. It's if you go to pulsechain.com, you can go check out some bridging stuff. And I'm gonna have to load up Ethereum, and that makes me sad because that is like the last thing I want to do right now. I'd rather load up Bitcoin and Sol, but yeah, I might bridge some shit over and see if I can play around with it. But not financial advice. Super high risk, super high degen, in and out.
Yeah, dude. So my plays are heist. I don't know what else to say. Like heist, dude. Just stack Nana. I think this thing is going to send. Season 1 is 3-4 months. There's no more Nana after that. The team already has something planned coming. Like, it's the most, once again, my style is find narratives, upcoming catalysts that are going to send things. Heist has it since day one, man. Just because the tokens is pulled back doesn't mean it's not going to send in the future. Once more things are implemented, there's going to become less and less Nana on the market, man. Tokens going to send. It's not that difficult. People are still playing the game. What's the user count right now that people playing, B? Like, it's high as hell, man.
It's about
That's a good
90%.
question.
It's about
That's
90%.
insane. That's
Yeah,
so insane.
90%, dog. 90%.
And to have the floor price go up and listings go down as you're putting more chimps and gorillas into supply is pretty nuts, dude. Because you're seeing people go, I'd rather play with this than floor it, right? The value for me is holding this thing or owning it, like Bison said, which is really, I love that play to own. I really love that. Never heard that before, and I really do love that. I think that's what I'm gonna start hitting people with, because that's the truth, right? I'm playing to own this thing. That's the whole reason why I'm playing to own, right? Because I want to cure it to have more value, to where if I do want to sell it or just gain what I'm getting, I'm owning it. That's such a good point, man.
Yeah, bro.
And
I
guys,
don't care if you sell your Nana or assets or anything like that to cover your cost basis. Like, do your thing. I would never sell shame you or anything like that. Like, one of the homies, he actually shouted us out with Drew's, was like, yeah, I sold the top. I'm like, good for you, bro. Go do your thing. Go sell the NFT. Go sell the Nana. Go do whatever. We're just gonna keep pumping out cool shit. And if you want to jump back in, I will welcome you with open arms. If not, that's okay. That's okay. You play to own, baby. That's all we doing over here. It's just trying to introduce new ways and new concepts of ownership of digital game assets. That's it.
I love it. And last little bit of bag bias, but it's true. Like Alpha, I wouldn't steer you guys wrong, and it's just don't go all in, but start looking for, if you see dust below $2 in the upcoming future. You see Frank, you see Kevin, you see all these guys go silent for 2 months, and then all of a sudden back on spaces. I saw them on No Fluff, like Salami Mommy Space, Snow Sniper, like starting to really get back into the tread of it. And dust is going to be a mechanism that's needed for Dust Labs and for things in the future with Season 3. It's already been said. It just hasn't been pinpointed because they can't, for obvious legal reasons. You can't have forward-looking statements when it comes to an SPL token that has that much of a market cap now, right? So just think about it, guys. All three chains, it could be a safer play to compound Solana, and that's not financial advice, but that's something personally that I would be telling someone that I like. So that's just a shout out for y'all. Just don't FOMO in, but red days under $2. I don't think there's much downside below that.
Yeah, another top tier pick from Joe. Other than Heist, of course, Cyber Samurai. We have a lot of things coming. Like, I think I don't see it's not a problem to have one Cyber Samurai, just so you can have access to the community. Would go out on a limb and say Cyber Samurai is probably one of the best trading communities in the entire space, yo. We've been on the forefront of so much alpha, man. So much alpha. Like, it's ridiculous. Holding one Cyber Samurai would pay yourself back 10 times over. And I know we're not giving financial advice out here, but it's kind of true. Also, having 6 sushi is definitely not bad either. We have a lot of things coming, waiting for the right timing to start really dropping announcements. What's up, Joe?
Sush.
Yeah, hey, sush all day, dog. And Blocksmith, once again, Migos is coming up. We know that's a catalyst. It's like it's going to send, just matter of time. So I think that's a good pick. But yeah, boys, anything else?
Yeah, Forge pumped big time, dude. It had like a 40% gain today. So
didn't we talk about Forge like 2 weeks ago?
Yeah, it's been a while. I mean, yeah, we gave free game, as Joe likes to say.
As always.
Yeah, I mean, it was a crazy send today. I think that'll be fun. But no, I mean, just BRC20 and Ordinals is where most of my focus is right now, and then I'll explore Pulse Chain a little bit, because I'm like I said, I'm not ever fading Richard Hart and Hexagons and complete different side of CT, but they just know how to print. I don't know what it is.
Joe, anything from you, Doc?
Negatory.
All right, man. Well, everybody, once again, appreciate you for taking time out your day to tune into another episode of RareFUD Radio, and we'll all catch you in the next one.